Ready?
So, mole, how do you pronounce it? But like you eat it, and it's excruciatingly hot, but it's ice cream, thereby being cold, so you can't douse it. Like, you don't know what to do. You can't drink ice water because your mouth's already cold.
Right, you can't drink the milk because
it's already ice cream. It is a milky product. It is literally undousable. You just have to endure it. And it's amazing in that regard and for that regard. So that's why it sucks that they didn't actually have the ice cream there anymore, because you could have tried it and suffered joyously. Joyful suffrage.
Joyful suffering. Joyful suffering is the name of today's episode. Welcome to Rhythm and Pixels, a video game music podcast. Joyful suffering. Episode 20.
That is not the name of the episode.
Are we in episode 24-5? We're in World 24 for now.
We are. Here's a question. Is the music supposed to be playing?
Yeah. Are you hearing anything?
Nope.
You're not hearing anything. Okay, well, hang on one moment, please.
There it is.
There it is. There's everybody. We're all here now.
Oh.
Everything's good.
Whoops.
Every week we listen to great video game music from all consoles and all generations. And we're your hosts. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
And every week we listen to...
Every week Rob repeats the exact same statement, and sometimes he does it twice.
Thank you and good night.
If you couldn't tell, we're kind of rusted here. We pretty much figured try to go and record in the same room, partially because, and the other part is the fact that there's construction happening at my neighbor's house, and I, in my foolish ways, bought a duplex. So when someone's hammering, I know it. And it sucks for recording, so...
Well, I mean, like, I also, like, our circles are pretty small. Like, me and Christy were talking, like, we have a very tiny bubble of the people that we see, and we know you do, too. So I feel like it's pretty safe.
Yeah. But also, I have this other just general element. It's a mixed bag how people perceive it. But the unfortunateness of it all is that we haven't, as a nation, haven't been really handling this thing in a way that would have pummeled this bad boy downward at a rate that would have felt controllable, which means that due to the fact that the tenure for it going away ranges somewhere between indefinite to never, or correction, indeterminate to never.
Yeah, we got to make some concessions.
Got to make some concessions, and for that in mind, like, I'm still ridiculously careful with stuff.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Because for the record, I've been going to work every day this whole thing. Like, I go to the office every day.
Many people do. Many people have no choice.
Oh yeah,
you know, and like.
But you got to make do with when you do go. Yeah. And I'm just fortunate that when I go in, I have a fair sense of control of who I'm around. Because I go to my office, I can stay in there. And if people are doing the thing where it's like, I got the mask under my nose, like, well, you can stay out there and do that. Not in my room, you ain't.
Yeah.
But you know,
I only go in like a little bit here and there just to keep up on the network, make sure it's fine. But I've been doing remote support for everybody, and there's this one woman who's a little bit older, and I'm just tired of trying to figure out her. I'm just so tired of trying to figure out her home internet connection issues over the phone that I'm making a house call tomorrow. I'm like, that's it. I'm just coming over. I'm going to rewire everything.
If there's cat poo all over the floor, run.
No, it ain't going to be like that. It's not. It shouldn't be like that. No, she doesn't like cats. She
Stacks of Tupperware.
I don't think she likes animals.
Stacks of Tupperware.
But I'll take some Tupperware if she's got some extra.
Stacks of PS4 titles all over the house.
She's like, what are you going to do with all these PS3 games? All these PS3
Don't touch
games.
that, it's an antique.
It's an antique.
But honestly,
that's BioShock. You can't get that anymore.
Actually, you can.
I know.
It's been remastered like twice. But honestly, that's how I feel about it overall. I make do. Like, I don't do much ever, but when I do stuff, I'm consistent and careful about it, and I just make do with the best I can.
Yeah, us too. We took some time off for a vacation because we had a lot of traveling. And then after an appropriate amount of time, we decided to just go off ourselves to the beach, which was actually really nice. I feel like...
And you went to one of the secluded ones, unfortunately.
Actually, Ocean City, Maryland, there were a bunch of people there, but it wasn't like it usually is, as I've been told, because I've never been to Ocean City, Maryland before.
I went there once by mistake.
And I can't believe it's a bit of a ways from where you were expecting to go.
My friend was very, very high.
and behind the wheel.
And behind the wheel. So perspective for people who are like, what the heck is he talking about? That was prom night. After prom, a bunch of friends and I drove to pretty much like just to hang out like at the beach for that weekend. So we all got in the car and drove off. And of course, while driving, they didn't want to partake of the greenbacks as they call them. I don't think they call it that, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and
puff trees.
Yeah, those. And I was Captain No Use. Actually, technically still am. But, of course, I'm in the car with everybody, so it's only inevitable I'm going to get some of it. And what ultimately happens, I fell asleep because of it. Like, I just passed out in the passenger seat.
I was going to say, like, you told me a little bit of the story, but, like, what'd you guys do when you get there?
Oh, so what happened was we were going to one beach.
Yeah.
And when I passed...
You're aiming for Rehoboth,
We were going to Rehoboth.
Yeah, which is
and
nice.
I passed out on the way down there.
Yeah.
And when I came to, we were at a beach that I thought was Rehoboth because I'd never been to the beach, so it's only natural, right? Turns out we were at Ocean City, Maryland, and the knucklehead just drove straight past Rehoboth all the way to another beach in another state.
Which is easy to do because there's really no other streets. It's just one highway.
That goes for a long time.
Yeah, it's called. I saw. It's called a.
It's the coastal highway.
It's the coastal highway, but no, it's an island. It goes over into an island. It's called a barrier island.
Oh, okay.
And you keep going down south, and it cuts out from Delaware to Maryland. What's crazy is the line from Delaware to Maryland. Everything changes because suddenly it's super developed, and it looks like a city.
Interesting.
But in Delaware, it's all national park. It's all preserved.
Oh,
most of it is, except for like.
I know Chincoteague is further. Actually, no, I don't think
Chincoteague's like further out south, on its own like island area. But no, that was nice. We went to Lewis, which is a super sleepy little like kind of farm mostly farm town, and then we went to. So anyway, we rented a condo. The first day we just cleaned the crap out of it. And then right outside the back is the beach, and there's like hardly anybody out there. It was really nice because everyone's being really careful. And even like when we were like driving around, like there's like people playing mini golf, but everyone's like being like pretty far apart from each other.
And it's interesting too because with that whole thing, like, well, I don't even want to say because it's hard to even gauge what's true or what's not anymore. But what I do know is that. My main drive is to be outdoors. Like if I want, like someone says, "Hey, Pernell, you want to do this thing?" My philosophy is it outside?
Yeah, I wanted to be outdoors too. Like that's what I like.
But it's not just because I like it though. Being outdoors is great, but it's also just because by virtue of the concepts, the open air is what you want.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because of this situation that we're in.
Yeah. You want open air.
What you want.
So I'm like, if I'm open air, I can feel better.
Well, we didn't really go to anywhere like really populated until the very end, where we were like, okay, let's stop by Rehoboth Boardwalk, see how it is there. And that's a popular boardwalk. It was like...
No, that's where I wouldn't go.
It was insane. We pulled up, and I was like, oh no.
Did you back out?
No. We backed out.
Good. I was going to say, why would you go?
Well, we went to a restaurant.
Horrible.
We went to a restaurant like 2 blocks away from like the main drag, and that was like super nice. Like they kept the seating really far apart. They were super careful. And I'm looking outside, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of nice. Let's go for a walk. And then suddenly it was just
not.
It was people didn't care.
Yeah, that's
and
why
there's kids everywhere.
That's why you couldn't pay me to go to Rehoboth. There are people who actually live there regularly on forums I frequent that complain about how they can't even have their town anymore.
No, they're probably just like, I can't wait until winter. Yeah, all these people go
away.
Literally
go away
because it was terrifying. So that was like, okay, that's it. We can drive back. But I spent a lot of time in the water.
I spent a lot of time playing games. That's all I do.
That's good. Yeah, but they're good games. We had some time. What's the first game? What's the first game to think of that you played?
Well, it's a spoiler because it's going to come up on the episode proper too. But reviewed. We haven't been to the topic, so we're going to do this first. So I played.
It's on the file.
Oh,
people download and put it on.
Oh yeah, I'd never think about that. But yeah, it's. I reviewed Death into Request 2, which is funny because I actually this never happens, but I actually finished the game during the review.
I think that's a good sign. That's a good sign, right?
Yes and no. So I finished the game before it even released on store shelves. Like, it came out yesterday. And I've been there. It came out yesterday, and I've already beaten it. I'm playing New Game Plus, which is also a shock for people, I would bet. But, like, I had such mixed feelings about it because, like, when you do game reviews, like, it's one thing when you've played it, you don't do game reviews, you get a game when it releases, and then you play it, and you have a bit of a different opinion than folks or than what reviewers had. You're like, I'm not quite sure I'm on the same page as that guy. It's something completely different when no one's reviewed it, you review it, and as everyone's reviews are getting on the floor at the same time, you see, like, you're the odd duck who was like...
You're the one who sat there. You played through the entire thing, which probably most of the reviewers haven't played through the entire thing. And you're like, wow, everyone has a different take than I do.
Yeah, but in this case, the take was... I felt like I was being really nitpicky. So, to give you an example, because I don't want to make this whole show about the Death and Request show, but, so, Death and Request... it is going to be a spoiler because it's the second game. The game reveals a plot point that the world is made of code. Like, our world is a programmed space, and that it can be manipulated through coding. So, stop it, you. So, the first game takes place in an MMO. So, in that MMO world, they involve things about glitches and stuff. So, when there's moments where the characters glitch out, and they get these weird glitched abilities called glitch mode. And it's like, okay, this makes sense. It fits within the context of this world.
The first game, it's like, it takes place on a computer game. You're playing. But in the second one, it's like, oh, wait, it's not a computer game. It's real life.
Well, yeah, it's essentially, hold on. It takes place in, the world proper. And so things are happening, but these events occur during that are so far removed from what you'd expect the game's inhabitants to know and understand. That it breaks focus. Like, so the game was written by the guy who wrote the Corpse Party series. For those who don't know, Corpse Party, by the title alone, is a horror-themed franchise. They make very good use of sounds to convey disgust and horror. And
is that the one where like the characters get power from the blood of other things?
I'm not even sure what game that is.
I know, you tell me about a lot of weird games.
That is true.
I'm trying to piece it all together.
But, so this game is also a horror-themed game. So the general premise is that the main character is a girl who, after a really unfortunate event where she has to kind of... Well, I don't want to go into that part. But ultimately, she ends up in this town... at like a remote town where she's at an all-girls orphanage. Basically, a lot of wayward girls end up there. And she gets told early in the game, like, you don't go after midnight. Almost like a mogwai. And, of course, she does. And when she goes outside, the town looks really weird and creepy. There's, like, red vines, like, coming out of the buildings. There's no one around. She never once says... Why are there red vines coming out of the walls? What is happening with this town? Nothing makes sense. She fights monsters the first night.
It's all normal.
Aside from that first, oh my god, what is this thing?
It's just... She
doesn't react to him anymore. And the stupidest element of two, one, glitch mode exists in the game.
So glitch.
And they act like it's normal.
Yeah.
Like, no one acknowledges... that their world is glitching out. No one acknowledges that they are glitching.
These are your nitpicks.
But I nitpicked the heck out of this game. But then the biggest thing that shocked me was, like, the company, NIS, I love them to death, they advertise it as a game where you can play this without playing the first game. Just jump right in. Just join the sequel. And, of course, I can understand why they'd say that. They want that money. But I played through it, and a lot of reviewers were saying and agreeing with them, like, oh, yeah, you can just jump right in. It makes sense. I'm like, no, it doesn't. First of all, if you play the second game without the first game, the glitching makes no sense. Right. Second of all, they do bring characters in from the first game, and the game does tie into the narrative of the first game, too. So by jumping into the second game, you lose so much on it. So for me, I'm almost thinking... You may as well just play the first game. You get it for cheaper, and if you like it that much, you'll just play the sequel anyway. But I was the only guy who made that comment. Of all the reviewers I came across, I was the only one that was like, I wouldn't play this without playing the first one. It just doesn't make sense otherwise.
You said you had a call with NIS?
Yeah, yesterday I had they did a press release conference.
Oh, I thought that was like a work related like government thing.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
But
like, no, I was at
the National something.
No, Nipponichi Software. Through SML they did a
So you had a call with Nipponichi.
Yeah, it was like a press release conference, a call where they had everybody on the call. We were talking, and they announced a bunch of new releases that are coming up. They demoed stuff.
And you were like, in episode 5 of Itchy and Scratchy.
How did it get out without using the wizard's key? But like, it was actually pretty cool. So like next episode, Joe's probably going to ask me like, "Hey, talk about that call," and I'm going to be like, it's got stuff,
I was absolutely sober during that call.
Unfortunately, I was, but I wouldn't have been if I didn't want to be. I just chose to be.
Oh,
but that's depressing.
No, that's good though. I'm glad that like that you have that those reviews have been giving you direction in the directed towards a game that it sounds like you really enjoyed if you played it that much.
Oh yeah, I played through the entire game,
yeah.
And I'm playing the new game plus. Mm-hmm. And even with the nitpicks I had for it, ultimately I came away saying I enjoyed this experience, and I clearly am playing it again to get the backup details for the new ending. Because once you beat the game, new game plus, pretty much you play through the game again, which is a dumb element because you get all your stats so you can kind of blow through stuff, but they unlock story bits that weren't there the first time, so you can kind of learn more about what's going on.
Oh, that's cool.
So
like, kind of gives you like a reason to kind of go back through it again. Like it's not going to blow the story open, but like it kind of gives you a little bit more detail.
But it helps that the game is short because Persona 5 does something like that too, only just with that bonus boss nonsense. But I'm not playing the Persona 5 again like that because
that's a long game.
Yeah, I'm not playing 100 hours again for one boss. That's ridiculous for me. Like I know people that have done it, and more power to my friends that did it. I'm not the dude. It's also why I haven't played through Royal yet, because despite having cool new content at the end and even some dispersed throughout the main game,
it's the game again.
It's just this. It's still mainly the game, and it's still 100+ hours, most of which I've experienced before. So it's like, yeah, the game was great. Yeah, I probably would enjoy it if I played it again, but I have a plethora of brand new experiences that I have not touched yet, so I have a hard time getting revved up for it again. Mm-hmm. So
I guess that says something to people like, choose where you're going to put your time, and be careful with that time.
Oh yeah. And remember,
you only have so much time.
Literally. Good night.
Good night. All right. So our topic is
terrible to weird character names in games.
Okay. So, that's really easy.
It surprisingly is. I think the real question is going to become who with the hardest on this thing.
Maybe like that, and also I think we can just laugh. We can just slow back and be like, oh yeah, you're right, that is a dumb name. I have some that are pretty obvious.
I won't say I cheated, but I got a little weird on it because what actually happened for me was like I had the idea for this as a general question, so I posted it to a bleep posting group. And I already named a bunch. I was like, these are the ones that came to mind for me. And they're pretty much the ones I chose for this episode.
Oh, okay.
Except for one, which I learned about because of that thread. And it was so bad that I was like, we got to bring this up on the show. This has to be a topic.
There's one.
That name is terrible.
There's one I couldn't find any. I don't think there was music for it, but it was the dumbest name. And it was Mario. No, it was it was from Punch-Out. And it was Don Flamenco was originally named Pizza Pasta.
You're joking.
I'm not joking.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
So that's what we're working with. This is an odd episode, so
I start the kick.
Do you want to like lead off with like with what the name is going to be, then play the music? I'm going to play the music and then we have to guess the name.
I'm going to play the music for the game and then I'll bring up the name.
Okay.
So, leading off from what we were just talking about earlier, this is a fitting first choice. So, this comes from the game Death End Request 2, and the title, thanks to a loose translation from friend and patron member Brian Pitt, is actually called Rend the Flesh and Sunder the Bones. It's composed by Sugiura Yuki. Welcome back. You're listening to Rend the Flesh and Sunder the Bones.
Hey, everybody. Rend the Flesh.
That is a loose translation, but the friend who did it is pretty good at this, so I'm sure it's fairly accurate. From the game Death End Request 2, composed by Sugiura Yuki. So this game, as it was building up and me settling into like the game itself, as opposed to complaining about the stuff I mentioned earlier in the episode, this was probably the main driving force to keep me going, because this battle theme is lit.
Yeah, this it's super fast. I really like the violin, like towards the end section of the loop that like resolves. That's really cool.
At one point, I thought I was going to put it on a Halloween episode, but I also figured, man, I'll just use like the final boss theme in Halloween time or something. But So
we're going to hear a lot of Death End Request 2 music?
You just might, because honestly, the entire OST is very, very good. But as for the theme of the episode and why I picked this track, well, the main character, whose name actually just kind of randomly clicked in my head for as a pun, too, is like, her name is Mai Toyama. Mai Toy. So her name is Mai Toyama, and when she gets to the all-girls school, she makes her first and best friend, named Rotten Dollheart.
Oh, God.
That's not a nickname. Her nickname is Roddy. Her real name is Rotten Dollheart.
Oh my God!
Her mother's name is Midra Dollheart. So somebody out there thought it'd be a great idea to name a character Rotten, named that way by a pretty much a convent nun.
Is it like a fun translation type?
I don't think it is. I think her name is literally Rotten, and it drives me crazy because for the majority of the game, this isn't a spoiler, but for the majority of the game, I was like, this name has to mean something. She has to be like actually tainted meat or like a monster in disguise or something.
No, it's just her name.
She just has a really bad name. And I can't. Can you imagine? They don't even have any kids making fun of her name. At no point in the game, no one goes, Roddy, stinking totty or something. You smell like rotten fruit. No one does any of that. It's literally just, that's her name, and we're all cool with it.
Is everyone cool with that? Is we're going to go with that? And everyone's like just acting like it's normal.
The main character meets her for the first time. My name's Rotten. She's like, okay. As opposed to being like, your name is what?
A lot was happening in the game that everyone's just sort of like ignoring, right?
But nobody knew that something's happening in the game. Most of the people, at least early on, don't know it. So she literally is just named Rotten, and everyone's cool. But the game, at least, is fun, and the narrative is awesome.
So RPGs are going to have some silly names for the most part, but like generally speaking, fighting games are also going to have some terrible names. So, surprise! I'm going to play a Street Fighter track.
I'm telling you, Mitchell and I are going to come up with a topic. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's going to be great.
I hate you too. But no, this one is Street Fighter EX for the arcade.
Because it's Skullomania.
It's Skullomania. I remember being like, oh wow, look at these new characters and like these returning Ryu and Chun-Li and Akira, and then Skullomania because he's a dude in a skin-tight skull.
He wasn't
outfit.
even like if I'm not mistaken, he wasn't even like a TV show character in the universe. He wasn't like an acrobat. He was literally just a guy in a suit.
Guy in a skull suit. That's what he is. And
terrible.
Very weird. But I mean, I guess they brought him back through all three versions of this game. Skullomania. So this is the theme of Skullomania. It's called I gotta be able to say this. They made up some words here. Amusementive crime.
Oh, okay. Maybe he was a criminal and he just used that as his costume.
Yeah, maybe he's like a clown. I'm gonna look it up and maybe find some fan fiction and we'll read it when we come back.
But leave the fan fiction.
Yeah, this is. But we'll leave the fan fiction. Maybe.
No.
If you're lucky.
Leave it out.
The soundtrack was composed by Takayuki, Aihara, Shinji Hosoe, and Ayako Saso. No credit specifically to which composer on this song, though. So here it is, the theme of Skullomania. We're back. You're listening to the theme of Skullomania, Amusementive Crime from the game Street Fighter EX for the arcade, composed by Takayuki Aihara, Shinji Hosoe, and Ayako Saso.
The track is actually fairly fun and festive, so I kind of get the amusementive.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Like it's an interesting song. Like if all the crazy pitch bends in the beginning, like right here, where it's like wee. I like that. Like to me, like that's almost classic like Capcom sound. It's very like arcadey sounding, but then it gets in this weird like amusement park like kind of circusy type thing. Yeah,
it makes you feel the flow, baby.
There we go. Who is Skullomania? Let's see. We don't know.
There's a guy in the skull outfit.
Okay, here he is. Straight from a Wikipedia page to your ears. I hate podcasts that do that, but I find this so weird. Skullomania. He was once an average salesman called Saburo Nishiyakiyama. His superiors were not pleased with his results as a salesman. Down on his luck and constantly under pressure for results, he was forced to act in a hero show at the department store which employed him, a hero show.
Oh, good. Here we go. So that is why he has the skull outfit.
So during the performance, he felt an indescribable passion to awaken within him, and he decided to become a vigilante crime fighter, swearing to protect the world from evil. As a result, he began to compete against top-ranked martial artists, fighting them on an even playing field.
I kind of chuckle in that regard, too, because can you just picture the idea of a guy who just... before this all happened, he wasn't actually physically fit like that. He wasn't practicing martial arts. He literally was a salesman.
Just a guy.
Yeah. Just a guy, and then, it's almost like One Punch Man syndrome here, where he's like, I'm going to become a fighter, a vigilante, and, after 1 week. Though, I guess at One Punch, he actually did it for 2 years, but still. This guy just overnight becomes a crime fighter, and he's fighting, people who train in martial arts their entire lives. Mm-hmm. Like it's nothing. He's Skullomania.
He can still jump super, super high in the air.
It's the scarf.
That's right. He did have a scarf.
It's the scarf.
When I first saw him, I thought it was like the developers were like, okay, we got to make a normal character model. Okay, let's improve on that, and then they just left it in the game.
Oh man!
But there he is, Skullomania. A very cool song though. Very cool arcade sound.
I honestly always felt like Street Fighter EX plus Alpha had an OST fairly unique of every Capcom game I played prior.
It really did. It's good too. I really enjoy it.
Well, maybe I shouldn't say every Capcom, but every Capcom Street Fighter game.
Yeah. Well, also the EX games definitely had a different sound too, and I think a lot of it is the composers are completely. It's also from a different company developed the game too, I think, or had a hand in it. Because then they went off and did the new game, Fighting EX Layer, which is kind of like a successor to EX.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think I was going to be into this game when I first saw it when I was younger, because it was 3D and kind of floaty. But I got really into it.
It's a good forum, that's why.
Yeah, and she was great. The super moves you can kind of chain together. If you built up your meter long enough, you can go one to the next one to the next one. It was cool. It's a good game. But Skullomania, I mean, not a great name. But a cool game.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to what the other two names you end up coming up with are. Because also, I like topics like this because they make you... Well, I hope that they make you kind of dig a little deeper. Where are some of the odder names out there that I can dig up? Or what are the things?
Some of mine are a little on the nose, but you'll find out.
This person's name is your character name here.
Oh, I should have chosen that one from WrestleMania for the NES. Where it's just you. It's just Y-O-U. It's you.
Actually, in Japan, it was translated from you.
Oh, God.
That was terrible, and I'm proud of it. So my next track comes from a game that is no stranger to me in this podcast. But, of course, again, when I originally came up with this topic, I already had names in mind from games I had been playing. So, of course, this track comes from the game, Trails of Cold Steel 2, Legend of Heroes, and title is Severe Blow, and it's composed by Hayato Sonoda and Takahiro Unisuga. Welcome back. You are listening to Severe Blow from the game The Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel 2, composed by Hayato Sonoda and Takahiro Unisuga. So when I proposed this topic to people, and I was like, well, there's some bad character names you've heard of, some of the names people were given were just lazy. Like, they were pretty much naming them because they just hate the characters. Like, someone was like Cloud Strife, which, don't get me wrong, Cloud Strife isn't a great name. It's a little on the nose. Oh, God, he's seen so much strife in his life. Woo. But it's Cloud Strife, whatever. Or Hero, Hiro. Hero's the show used Hero. Like, it's been done. Hero is a thing, you know.
Yeah, it's a dumb name. A Beautiful Joe.
Hey, you take that back. Beautiful Joe's awesome.
Stupid.
But none of them thought, no one was. I guess a couple people thought it because they had to agree with me because I brought it up immediately. None of them thought of the name McBurn. There's a guy named McBurn. McBurn. Not only is his name McBurn, but he is one of the most powerful in both in strength and in authority in the game's main villain organization. Can you imagine, like, coming up to this guy's like, all right, we just take out the last enforcer and we can move forward to take out the ringleader, da-da-da. And he shows up with his arms crossed like, welcome, I am McBurn. And you're just like, what? And you just like picture like the McDonald's M in the background catching a blaze like, McBurn!
But like, I'm just picturing Mr. Burns and like McDonald's, like Ronald McDonald makeup.
Yeah,
you're right. It's not the intimidating name it should be. Right?
It's terrible. The funny part is he has actual intimidating nicknames.
Oh, okay. Oh,
he's called the Almighty Conflagration.
That's pretty good.
And the Blazing Demon.
Okay, so a lot of fire.
Yeah, he's a very fiery guy. Hence McBurn.
Okay.
But it's the fact that, if anything, I would never want anyone to call me McBurn because it's just a pathetic name. It's someone got. It's like it is always when I come across these names. It's not even just that the character has his name. I always have to remember.
But McBurn. So it's just like Cher or Madonna. It's just one name.
Yes, and it's not even a good one name. It's like when you think about it, it's not always necessarily just that the character in the universe has to live with the name. It's also the fact that again, someone in a studio, whether a translator or in Japan, officially sat down and said, you know, we have this guy. What's his ability? Well, he has a sword that allows him to manipulate and control flames. Okay, that's pretty awesome.
That's good.
What should we name him? We got all kinds of. We got like Sayato. We've got Ricky-kun. Just a bunch of weird names I'm making up that are just like general. And this guy just goes, McBurn.
Yeah.
I'm like, McBurn.
Hey, you know what? The game's not released for like another 4 months. Maybe we can top that before the game comes out.
I went to McDonald's, got a serious case of acid reflux. Let's just call this guy McBurn.
We just got the McBurns. You got McBurned.
You got McBurned.
Yeah.
Oh, he got McBurned. That name is horrendous, but the music in the game is great. And it's funny too. I'll tell this on the show proper too because like we were joking about it. I think, and you made a good comment, which is legit. Which is that on that Nipponichi call that I talked about earlier in the show, one of the games they previewed for us on there was Trails of Cold Steel 4, which comes out in like 2 months, and they show like a demo area of like the player was running through the game and some of the new battle mechanics. And everybody else in the call was like, oh man, when is this game coming out? I can't wait. When are you going to release the review codes? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm the one guy on the call like, take as long as you want. Don't release the review codes because every time I review a Trails of Cold Steel game, I have to spoil the previous one for myself because I'm never caught up.
You're trying to get, but these games are huge,
They're
right?
massive games.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know I'm in there. I know what I'm in there for. I'm here to review the new mechanics and things that change because you can't spoil the story because it's a continuous plot. But I'm spoiling it for myself. So it's like, woof, this sucks. But it's also free, though it doesn't count so much because I'm still buying this game because I want it on my shelf.
All right, so a game notorious for having bad names, silly names. I mean, not bad, but just silly. Really silly names. The Mega Man X series.
Oh, is this going to be from 5?
This is X5.
I called it.
Yep.
Let me see. Is it Duff McWhalen?
It's Duff McWhalen.
Ah! I'm good.
Because not only is it a really silly name, it's good song. Yes. I really like this. So this is composed by Naoto Tanaka, Naoya Kamisaka, and Takayuki Miyawaki for the Sony PlayStation. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together
for Duff McWhalen.
back. You're listening to music from the game Mega Man X5, the theme of Duff McWhalen, which was then during the, I think it was re-released as the X series.
Well, before we get into that, we got to acknowledge that this wasn't his original name. So in Japan, like for people who've played Mega Man X, the franchise, all of the original Mega Man games, they were always like, some object man or a property man, like fireman or real estate signpost man,
Yamato man.
Yamato man.
Yeah.
But then with the Mega Man X games, the Mavericks were all named after animals. And like a characteristic, an adjective, and an animal. So like Storm Eagle, which isn't an adjective, it's just another word to describe them, but you get the point. Launch Octopus, which, yeah. So, but for some reason with Mega Man X5, the people who did the translation for the game thought it'd be quite corking to change all the characters' names and make them references to Guns N' Roses songs.
Yeah, so Slash was Grizzly Slash, and his name was really Crescent Grizzly, which I mean, it's not a great name. So Duff McWhalen was originally Tidal Whale, and they corrected this in the Legacy edition, like they released on all the systems. But you know what? It's still Duff McWhalen.
He'll always be Duff McWhalen.
He'll always be Mr. Duff. Duff Man.
Mr. Duff.
Duff Whale.
I love that character.
And I just think it's a silly looking robot too, because it's like the head is the shape of a whale, with like arms kind of sticking out of it. It kind of reminds me of Twinbee, where it's like a plane with arms sticking out of it.
One thing I find especially interesting about this game, well, two things about this track in particular,
Sure.
which is that this track is probably one of the only times I can think of in like gaming, not so much gaming history, but I guess kind of is, where they chose a stage completely unrelated to another stage, but used that stage's theme as in a remix form for this one. So this track is a remix of the Bubble Crab theme from Mega Man X2.
Okay.
And then the other thing that
I thought it sounded familiar, but in my mind I was like, no, it sounds like something from Castlevania.
I can see a little bit of Castlevania in there.
Yeah, I'm thinking of from Castlevania 4, and I'll think of the track name later. But
the other thing about this game, which I think is interesting in the regards, like if you play it now, it won't have the same effect. But I bought the game when it came out on store shelves, and there wasn't a lot of press releases for it. It was just, you go to the store, holy crap, Mega Man X5 is out, I'm going to buy that. And you go home, you put it in, you choose your first boss, and it says the Skyver. And you're sitting there going, what the heck is the Skyver? What's his actual name? Like, from the moment you would pick a boss and see whatever these fake names they were coming up for them, I was like, something's wrong with my game. These aren't their real names. Who's Duff McWhalen? And if you weren't able to go on the internet, particularly, and look up real names, it was just, this is the game you got. For some reason, they changed their names.
I hadn't played a Mega Man game since I was real little. And when I discovered, I was like, oh, the X series, they're still doing this. Because I didn't have a Super Nintendo, so I didn't really play the X games. So when I saw X5 on the PlayStation, I was like, I'm going to try this out. And I just got my butt handed to me over and over again. This is not an easy game.
No, they are not.
I don't care what anyone says.
Except for Pernell.
Except for you. I'm just not.
They're so easy!
Actually, Rob, no.
I just find them to be very frenetic. And
they are, yeah. Especially the X, like these later X series games, they're fast.
And I will say, I've had people hit me with that treatment myself where I'm like, no, X6 is stupidly hard. And people are like, no, it's not. It's actually really easy. I'm like, well, I just am really bad at it because I'll acknowledge that X6 is ridiculously hard.
I'm just not putting in the work, I guess.
Exactly.
Just not.
They added this system where you have to save hostages from these things that are just floating around the screen. And if they get them, they kill the hostage. And they're dead for the whole game. So
they're gone forever.
They're gone forever. Well, so you see them for the first time, you're like, "Oh crap! He's dead." Well, we better start over again.
One of my favorite games ever was the Oddworld series of Abe's Exodus. In that game, it's almost like a puzzle game. You're trying to rescue the other little people in there that are trapped in this world.
Oh, maybe they never even gave their species a name.
I know that they all have names. Like they created a huge world.
The individuals. I mean, I'm thinking the species.
Yeah, the species. I'm pretty sure they did. But I don't remember it now. But I was really into it. But what I liked about it was it's so much of it's trial and error. Like you can't save everybody, and so you just expect casualties like throughout the game.
See, that kills me. I wonder if that's a token of just, I don't want to say modern gaming, because I just made this comment about a game that came out in the late 90s, but the fact that I feel like I have to save everybody. Like, I can't just play a game and be okay with the fact that there will be losses, there will be casualties, there will be elders that you'll use and they'll die, and your great will suffer for it. X-Zero, Mega Man Zero reference. But then you got...
It's like, this game, it's like, okay, 10 people I gotta get through. Okay, I'll hit this switch and I'll let 4 of them through, then I'll get the next 2, and like splat, like spikes come and impale 3 of them. You're like, okay, next time I won't do that. You know?
Yeah, like, because
there's no way around it.
You remember Zombies Ate My Neighbors, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Zombies Ate My Neighbors was notorious for that, and that made me furious too. Because like there'd be a level where the guy they just turn into werewolves. Like they don't get killed by them; they turn into the werewolves, and that counts as them dying. You're like, I didn't have a chance. This is ridiculous.
One of my favorite original Midway arcade games, Robotron 2084, whatever it's called, Robotron. You're supposed to save the humans and you get bonus points from them, but if they get hit by a robot, they turn into like super awful robots and they fly around the screen.
So basically, if they get caught, it's not just that you lose a character, you don't just lose points, you gain a horrible adversary.
Yeah, absolutely. And the round only ends when all the enemies are gone, so you can leave people on the stage. So you want to leave the enemies for as long as possible to save the people. I love that game. That's Geometry Wars.
I just
essentially that game.
I just love. There's like a Freeze Pop song, if I remember correctly. They still like that, where it's called. Actually, it's called Robotron.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And it's like she goes Robotron. I go 2000. Such a long. I remember that game, and the whole song is about them like her describing her experience with like Robotron and like weird lyrics.
I think Robotron's like one of like it's like a perfect game, and you play it with 2 joysticks. It's super cool.
I played that barcade and got my butt handed to me.
It's fun, not easy. No. I was obsessed with it in high school. I got to round 30, and then like I never got better than that.
Does it have an ending?
I don't know, but I've never been able recently. I've never been able to get past like round 8.
Might be something I have to look up later because now I'm curious.
I was just playing it all the time.
Did you ever play the N64 game that they did?
Yeah, it was the same as the PlayStation one. I think I had that because I didn't have an N64.
Okay.
And it was okay, but it was a weird angle. It was like kind of like a 3D effect.
Yeah, they were thick and blocky.
The music was awesome though. The music was crazy. I think we played some of it on the show before because it's just wild.
Wouldn't surprise me. I feel like you would have picked it for sure.
I'm sure I did. Yeah. Okay, so I think we're on your final one.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny with the last track you picked being Duff McWhalen, because the character name that I picked from this game acquired the name due to similar reasoning, being translation.
Oh, it's bad translation.
Or just totally intentional translation. Totally intentional.
Okay.
This game is called Atelier Rorona, the Alchemist of Arland, and the track title is called Full-Bokko, and it's composed by Ken Nakagawa.
When you say these names, I type them down so I can look them up and all that. You just said a bunch of words that...
Here's some gibberish.
It's just gibberish to me, so we're going to spell that later.
Welcome back. You're listening to Full-Bokko, though Rob says Bako.
Bako.
That's a battle of words from the game Atelier Rorona, The Alchemist of Arland, composed by Ken Nakagawa.
This is a funky jam.
I love this track.
I'm loving that keyboard.
This is a fine example, unfortunately, of games I own, because I own like every Atelier game, and I am so far behind in trying to experience them all. I'm pretty positive I never will, and I accept that. But I might have to at least play this one, because every pick I've used for this episode were names that I found myself, that for games that I've played. This is the exception. I had no choice. I could not avoid using this character's name in the show.
Is the name Bako?
No, I wish. I wish. So, this game's character that I'm referring to goes by the name of STD. That is her name. In Japan, it was originally SD Erhard or Erhard.
Okay.
But for some reason, the Western translators thought it would be quite hilarious to name her STD.
Just the acronym.
No,
or
it's
just the initials?
ESTYD.
Oh.
So it's pronounced STD.
Great.
But her name is actually Esty.
Okay.
So, who is STD? Well, she is a character who in the first game, keep in mind, this is all stuff I learned recently because I need to play these games now, but I've played Atelier games, but not the Arland trilogy. She is a character who works in the Adventurers Guild in the first game, Rorona. So she basically is like a character that you can talk to. She gives you quests to embark on.
She's there.
She's there doing her questing distribution thing. And after that, she feels as though she can't find a husband, and she's having more difficulty doing so by working in the guild. So she leaves working in the Adventurers Guild to go on her own little journey of exploration. So in the second game, she's referenced, but she's not around. And in the third game, she becomes a bodyguard for some reason.
Oh, you know
to
what?
another character.
You know what? I gotta respect someone going out there and changing careers like that.
Oh, FTD is a career getter.
I like that,
and I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
Not so much with that name though, because somebody at that company needs to get kicked in the butt. Like, it's not even a bad. It's one thing if it was like, this is an official translation. I guess we're kind of stuck with it. This is, it'd be hilarious. It'd be really great if we took this character and just gave her a name that's made for mocking.
Yeah, just like it's just, and it's not even like so far in the background, right? Like you meet this character multiple times.
Yeah,
across multiple games.
Multiple games. Like when the person mentioned this name in the thread, I was like, well, shut this thread down. No one's topping this. And I stand by that belief because after many, many replies, no one topped STD.
That's pretty good. I might get there. I'm getting there.
There's there's not a chance.
All right, so there is a Sega Genesis game.
Okay.
With a superhero. Okay. And it is called Boogerman.
Oh.
A pick and flick adventure.
I do know the Boogerman.
And
it's called Boogerman.
The Boogerman. He's a Boogerman. And that's what he is. He's a disgusting. The whole game is disgusting and gross.
I love how he has a sock with a hole in it.
Yeah. All of the stages are gross. It's all toilet humor. It's all goofy stuff. Even when this game came out, I was like, I think I'm too old for this. But the soundtrack is composed by Matt Furniss.
Really?
So it's going to be good. Some of the tracks are so good. So good. And here's one. So you brought the funk. I'm bringing the Genesis funk. This is from the stage called Flatulent Swamps. And there's some good FM synth fart sounds happening in the background. From the game Boogerman, a pick and flick adventure for the Sega Genesis and the Sega Mega Drive.
Oh, mercy.
Oh, yeah. back. You are listening to The Flatulent Swamps from Boogerman, a pick and flick adventure for the Sega Genesis, composed by none other than Matt Furniss. Get down.
I was saying earlier, how this invokes a Corpse Party vibe to me.
Oh, yeah?
Not in so much the style of composition or anything, but just in the composition of the track, he uses sounds to invoke the grossness that I'm assuming is on display on the game screen proper. So, like, you said it's called Flatulent Swamp?
This one's called The Flatulent Swamps, yeah, so they're trying to do like that kind
like the squishy sound of a fart.
Yeah, squishy sounds, yeah. But in the music, like these aren't sound effects like added like throughout the game level. Like it's actually part of the soundtrack.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, it was interesting.
It just uses that this is a sound he's using to give you a sense of, I don't know, add some personality to the environment. And he decided to choose this sound effect for the track that's meant to overlay and give personality to the environment. So it's almost like he's taking steps and he's like stepping on like squishy bags that fart. Maybe the ground farts when he walks on it. Yeah, it is the Flatulent Swamp.
It is a swamp. Everything in this game is named really silly.
And it's gross, I'm assuming.
Professor Stinkbaum. Ooh. And he's trying to... His lab is above the city Takey Dump.
Oh, mercy.
And they are trying to save the world from pollution by sending trash to a Dimension X increment.
Christ.
I know, it gets worse. It only gets worse from here. Apparently it was reviewed really well when it came out. It being a fun game to play, although it was really mainly meant to be kind of gross out. I think it was like the height, or at least not the height of, but riding the winds, the flatulent winds of like the Ren and Stimpy.
Oh, that makes sense.
Kind of like
because Ren and Stimpy came out in like, well, I won't say it came out. I don't remember when it came. I think it came out in '90 actually.
Yeah, this was.
Ren and Stimpy ran in like 92 or something.
Yeah, this game came out like '96.
Really?
So, yeah.
That far into the Genesis? Oh, right, it makes sense because it had the bars that. It had that side panel on the Genesis cartridge, which didn't show up towards the end of the game system's lifespan.
Yeah, this is definitely a late. That's when I think I was like 16 or 17, and I was like, I don't know about Boogerman. I think Decap Attack came out like later.
Boogerman.
Boogerman. Now, if there's a sequel,
the Boogerman.
I do not want to know what they're doing with the sequel. But anyway, I mean, it's on the nose, right?
I grew up with Garbage Pail Kids. Bam. I grew up with Garbage Pail Kids, so for me, gross things are just natural.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Just like flatulence.
It's all very, very natural. Very, very natural here. But yeah, Boogerman. But Matt Furniss, I mean, come on. That's a funky beat.
I liked
it. That's a super funky beat. You liked it?
Honestly, I think I liked the track, but I genuinely like the flatulence included in the track proper.
All right. Well, we'll give him a call and we'll let him know. But like, that was the right choice to make.
That's correct. Those beans, perfect.
I wonder if they were like, okay, we want you to work on all these cool games, right? And then here's Boogerman. And he's like, all right, fine, my last one.
He's probably more like, Boogerman, finally a chance to flex my chops.
Flex my creative muscles.
Get the juices flowing.
Takey dump. All right, I'm going to turn this track down and the flatulence down, and we're going to get into the part of the show we call the bonus round. Pardon me.
Ooh. Must have been that beat I had for lunch.
Kaboom! Now, the bonus rounds are where we play covers and remixes and arrangements on our theme, and our theme is some silly names. So, what you got for us, Purnell?
I cheated a bit because the name that I chose is in this series, but I couldn't find a remix or a cover from the game proper, so I went back. I went back a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm going to pick from this game, and I'll bring up the name. So this is from the game Star Ocean: The Second Story. The track title is called Stab the Sword of Justice. It's the instrumental metal cover, and it's done by Daniel Tidwell. Ah, it was such a good one. I loved it.
Yeah, how like the original is it? I mean, it sounds like how close is this melody to the original?
To give you perspective on it, the original was composed by Motoi Sakuraba. So
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
there you go.
There you go. That's pretty close.
So you heard no synth in this, but he still did a ridiculously good job with it. What is this track again? Stab the Sword of Justice, instrumental metal cover from the game Star Ocean: The Second Story, composed by Daniel Tidwell. As I mentioned before, original composed by Motoi Sakuraba.
All right, so what's the name from?
So this has become one of my go-to names over the previous like couple gens or a couple few years. The name actually comes from the game Star Ocean 4, and the character is the main character who goes by the name of Edge Maverick. You want to talk about on the nose? That one's on the nose, Maverick. And man, is it being picked. It's atrocious. It's like, come on, Edge. Like, Edge Maverick. He's a starship captain, mind you. So that it lends itself further to the Maverick part. It's so bad. Oh, man. The name is atrocious.
Now,
I genuinely still mock the plot because they destroy Earth in an alternate timeline after giving alien technology to scientists in Area 51. But before they go, they have to save an anthropomorphic cat girl.
Oh, man.
It's just what they got to do. And she becomes the best party member in the game. Her name is Miracle. Meow. It's so bad.
No, I got a bad name for you. Soul Badguy.
Yeah, that's a pretty crappy name.
From Guilty. That's not a good name.
That's a crappy name.
Soul Badguy.
He's the sole bad guy in the franchise.
The sole bad guy in the franchise. Now, all right, so the music itself is already pretty rockin' by Daisuke Ishiwatari. Amazing. Even tons of arranged tracks, arranged versions of these original songs by Daisuke Ishiwatari that are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So, years later, Guilty Gear XX is released, and for the song "Keep Yourself Alive," which is the theme of Soul Bad Guy. It's just fun to say. He's the only bad guy in the game. The sole bad guy. So arrangers from Japan go to L.A. To record arranged versions of the music with famous vocal artists in America.
Okay.
So this is a vocal version of "Keep Yourself Alive," composed by Daisuke Ishiwatari, but arranged by Kinya Sawaguchi, Koichi Sayama, and with vocals by Matthew Zane.
I was about to say Matt Furniss.
Matt Furniss, no. It's Matt Zane, who I don't recognize because I'm not like a rock and roll guy. But I know it's not like, crazy like... When I first saw
it was Eternity.
When I first saw vocal version, I thought it was going to be like when the anime like voice artists like do like vocal versions of theme songs and it's like some guy screaming like in a microphone.
Or like Eternity from Blue Dragon.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like it sounds like someone is like drunk in a karaoke bar. But no, this is pretty legit. I think you'll be into it. Not my usual style, but I think you'll like it.
Oh yeah!
Going to eat ham.
Again right now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wanna listen to the last words right now.
don't even cry. I'm going to Applebee's. I'm going to get myself a pantry meal.
Wow. Okay.
And that song is about one man's quest to go to Applebee's despite the discourse that will come from his friends as a result of him wanting to go there.
Yeah, and then the evening they had after having to eat Applebee's.
Oh, that was...
And the morning after Applebee's.
That's where they had the leftovers.
Which is Red Lobster. So that was Keep Yourself Alive 2, the theme of Soul Bad Guy from Guilty Gear XX in LA Vocal Edition. Composed by Daisuke Ishiwatari, arranged by Kinya Sawaguchi and Koichi Sayama, with vocals by Matt Say Hey Hey. I don't need. I'm gonna borrow little cats because I'm broke. A couple little edits had to make here.
Oh yeah,
I forgot.
Like, whoops! Wow.
Yeah. So hopefully that was okay. But yeah, that is super. I mean, it's so.
The alternative would have been like, I don't give a darn.
Darn. I might go back and I'm not gonna do that.
That was what you did. I don't mind.
This way it sounds like, oh, maybe it's an intentional. What an interesting choice they would make. So yeah, definitely hamming it up. I mean, definitely putting their all into this track.
Oh, yeah, you can put tons of all into it.
Like,
and still be hamming it up.
That's good vocals. It's just like real silly.
That's some honey baked ham.
It's some honey baked ham. Well, for more information on the honey baked ham portion of our show, go to rhythmandpixels.com. We'll have links to SoundClouds, Bandcamps, and everywhere where you can download this music and buy the music and support these artists. But I don't care.
Yes, you do. You love those artists.
All right, thanks for joining us on Rhythm and Pixels 24-5, our look at silly character names. And we have to end with some Final Fantasy music because there's a lot of silly Final Fantasy names.
Pretty much. In this case, I think, what was the ones you named for this one, Rob?
Squall Lionheart. This is the Balam Garden arranged version from Dissidia Final Fantasy, which I think is like a fighting game, like an arena fighting type game.
Yeah, though I never played the later ones, but the original ones I played on PSP were like, arena fighters. You could like grind on rails.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But they were cool ideas for games. Like you could like level up the characters and learn new skills for them.
But
get equipment and everything.
Squall Lionheart is kind of silly. Renoa, was it
Heartilly or Heartily?
Heartlily, yeah. I don't know.
And my go-to for Final Fantasy was originally going to be Butts.
Butts.
Which I'm trying to remember, for the life of me, I can't recall if it was translated in America to Butts or vice versa, but I want to say in Japan it was originally Butts, and they got translated to Barts eventually. But yeah, you can't, but you can't beat Butts, and I'm good for that. So
yeah, and you know what? They're cowards for not leaving Butts in their game.
That's right.
More butts in your games.
Not less, more.
More. Put your whole butt in that game.
Also, one thing I wanted to randomly mention, because it's funny how I came up in Rhythm and Pixels chat. Apparently, we were on a chat talking about beers a few weeks ago, and I think like Skinny Matt had a beer that he was drinking, and I made a comment about, that's a really cool sounding beer. And he PM'd me, like, I could just mail one to you if you want, just let me know where to send it.
What?
Now, the thing is, like, I probably wouldn't have been like, oh yeah, here's my address, because I'm, bizarre. But
no, you are a normal person who won't just give your address online.
Touche.
Which is good.
But like, I would have responded sooner, but I didn't notice it literally until I got on that conference call yesterday. I was like, wait a minute, I have a PM in here. Because I checked Discord, but the PMs don't stand out for some reason.
Yeah, I always miss them. It kind of blends in with the channels. I'm not a big Discord user.
I'm terrible with it. I'm trying to get better at it, though. But yeah, I've never been the best. Like, I'm even now getting coached in the usage of Instagram, which I'm like, and every time I'm like, what's the point of Instagram?
It's just pictures. It's like the Tumblr of Facebook.
Like, I want people to talk about the pictures, though. But every time I go there, it just seems like there's a photo and then like a bunch of like quick blurbs that says this person saw it. Yeah. Like,
And you're like, oh, look, I saw my picture. Anyway.
Does this mean I'm old, or does this mean I don't get Instagram?
So he slid into your PMs, your Tylenol PMs, and then...
And I didn't notice, but just letting you know, I appreciate the offer very much so.
Okay, yeah. We should probably get like a P.O. box.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, we can put it to use somehow.
I could give an excuse, but I'm just lazy. So yeah, anyway, thanks to everybody for listening to the show. Our next episode is going to be a live streamed recording. And so if
we never remember what the topic was.
Yeah, so did you nothing?
Nothing came up. I remembered
We can do this one again.
what I remembered was characters that you wanted to see in Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
I remember that was a topic.
that's a good one. Characters named Butts.
No. Actually, if you could think of that many characters named Butts, go for it. But I can only think of the one.
So yeah, how about that? We'll go with that. Characters you'd like to see in Smash, and then we'll talk about. Oh, that's right. That is what it was, because we were going to talk about them fighting each other, and that would be a good time.
Okay.
Oh yes, we're going to do that. That's tomorrow night. If you're listening to the show the day it came out, but we'll announce that on our Patreon page and all that other stuff. But if you'd like to get in contact with us, if you'd like to say hello, we have many different ways to do it, but we check our email more frequently. So send us an email.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
And if you'd like for more information on our show and a full track listing from all of our episodes, and links to everything else that we're doing, such as our Discord server, that we will also never check, go to our website.
rhythmandpixels.com.
And check us out on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. It's Rhythm and Pixels, all one word.
And I do check Discord. Don't let them fool you.
I'm on there a little bit more frequently now, because I'm part of some other groups, like DDR groups, that I keep in touch with. But yeah, do that, and go to youtube.com/rhythmandpixels. We have a 24/7 radio station playing nothing but 8-bit and 16-bit classics. And if you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/rhythmandpixels. There you get access to prequel episodes once a week, usually, almost all the time.
We only miss like one or two.
Yeah, life gets in the way, you know. I'm not going to get too burned up over it. You also get access to a live streamed recording episode, which we do once a month. We do that without fail. That's always a good time. Sometimes it's a little later than others, but it's always fun.
We get it done.
We get it done. And there's some other great little things that you can get for your donations. So check that out, patreon.com/rhythmandpixels. And we also like to thank all of our Patreon members at the end of every episode. So we'd like to thank that Nick Walker, The Last Weekend, Mike Myers, I hope you're doing good, Bedroth of the VGM Very Good Music Podcast, a good guy.
He's going to be on the show at some point soon, too.
We just got to set that up. I just got to get on it. I feel like I'm home now, you know.
He's like, I'm home.
August is very soon going to see the back of August, you know. It's going to be behind me, and I can do things. So Bedroth, Justin Schneider, I got his name right, from XVGM Radio.
You're getting better!
For being a member of our Patreon, I will get your name correct. Sonic Medley, Taco, Harold Howard, David Taylor, Reinhard Selkova, Andreas Milberg, Dan Loughton, Phantom Jest, Steve Miller, The Autistic Gamer 89, Cameron Werma, Christopher Shenstrom, Bobby Arson from One Up Funk, Wicked Sephiroth, Carlos, Kung Fu Carlito from the Heroes 3 podcast, Michael Bridgewater from the Forever Sound Version VGM podcast, and Brian Pitt.
Oh, wonderful.
And Brian Pitt came through with the translation, right?
That's correct.
Awesome. So yeah, thanks everybody for continuing to support our show and the many others. It's good. And if you want to support the show and you don't feel like spending any money, honestly, there's plenty of other organizations that need your money. So a lot of good charities and a lot of other places. So do that instead.
Or instead, or either.
Or go to rhythmandpixels.com and buy all of our merchandise. No, I don't know.
Actually, I just think it would be cool to see people wearing a cool shirt.
You just walk down the street and be like, hey, I made that dumb design.
I actually even have a friend of mine. She was doing like this works to earn some extra money. Mm-hmm. And I kicked some money over to get a mask made for Rhythm and Pixels.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a pretty cool mask.
Did you get that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's got the logo on the left-hand side. So it's like I'm walking like, oh, there's Rhythm and Pixels.
Oh, so it's not like, you're not like talking like, so it's like in front of your mouth.
Exactly.
Like, that's cool.
And it was her suggestion, too, which I'm glad she made that suggestion because it makes so much more sense to have it on the side of the mask than in the front of it.
Face mask, fashion is becoming a real thing. And I like that. I'm glad.
Yeah, because if you're going to have to wear them, you may as well have fun with it.
Yeah, have fun with it, or make a statement with it, or like match your outfit. Mm-hmm. I've seen that a lot. Like women with like
that
dresses
blows my mind
that match
when you're
their
matching masks.
Yeah, I like that.
My mask will never match unless I'm wearing all black.
I'm still wearing like old surgical masks and stuff. Like just
I keep a box of 10 on hand just in case.
That you forget. I went out for a walk and I was like, crap, I forgot my thing. So I guess I can only stay outside and away from people.
Pretty much.
I had to go back to my car and grab it. Anyway, thanks for listening to the show, everybody. Next week we are going to be talking about Smash Brothers characters that are not in Smash Brothers, which is not many, right? Very few.
There's still a stupid amount that aren't, but there's also so many that are that it's kind of forgivable.
Freddy Fazbear from Five Nights at Freddy's.
But also, before I forget, just in case other people have forgotten, and you get to this point in the show, don't forget, submit your favorite attack submissions to the show. We got maybe 2 more weeks on that.
Yeah, we're going to make a big posts campaign with like images and stuff on Instagram. To let people know about that, because I want to get that out there. I want to give away stuff. We're going to give away t-shirts.
Yes.
Probably like the top 3 or 4.
Because there's time for attacks.
Yeah, when there's time, man. We're home. We're doing this
to
stuff.
get creative. It's just fun to talk about. Like, we
Yeah.
got a few submissions so far that I like, but
Oh, good.
get them in!
Yeah, and we'll discuss it on the next Patreon show after the next one. So, anyway, thanks everybody for listening. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good night.
The jelly, man!
What'd I do?
And I'm Rob Nichols, and
Oh, I totally missed it, didn't I?
you dropped the... Oh, mercy,
I'm
Rob.
I'm dropping balls, man.
Robert!
I'm dropping balls.
And remember...
My name's
Don't-
Rob Nichols.
and I'm Purnell. But also, and remember... oh, mercy. It's hard. It's friggin' hard. I'm just going to be like that guy who says... we're dealing with some stuff right now. This world's gone cuckoo labanza on a crispy cracker, and it may be easy to get down on things and down on society and down on a variety of things. I am poster boy for that at times.
Me too.
But
Yeah.
despite the downness you may feel, also note that you are also dealing with individuals whenever you interact with people in the streets, whenever you interact with people online. Don't let the plague that is the image that has been built up of society negatively impact your distinct interactions with individuals, whether online or in person. You want to be a version of a person that frankly doesn't suck. Be a person that doesn't suck in the world that has been having a lot of issues avoiding that concept lately. Be a good person. Be the part that makes this place okay.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's so easy to be a good person. It's so easy to
Honestly, you think about it, it actually is. Like, it is like almost like a side and remember dialogue, but like I have had dialogues with people, and there's like that moral concept where you say, I genuinely feel like
moral concept.
bip.
I'm sorry, go on.
I think it's hilarious.
I just had this thought, yeah.
Like, I feel like without the actual influence of others, as the natural human state, it is easier to do bad things and be a bad person. And I say that because the core of being a bad person is literally looking out for number one without concern for the consequences of those around you. But by that same notion, when you do develop attachments and bonds and associations with other people, and you have those relationships and those learned experiences, you develop things like empathy, and you develop things like concern for others around you. And you also come to realize certain things like, I don't know, when you do something nice for somebody and you see them react to it, it feels good for you.
Yeah.
It's like a reward to say, I performed this nice gesture, and the reward was seeing them enjoy the nice gesture. It's not selfish, it's real.
Yeah. If you feel like your hands are tied and you can't help with the current problems that are happening right now, do something nice for somebody else.
Exactly.
Don't just go online and doom post all the horrible stuff, because I already know it's out there.
It's all, you can't really get away from it, really.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't have to see it again.
So just do your best to be that good person, because trust me, it does feel really good to be good, especially in a time where people could use it more. When you're being that guy or gal, it shows and people appreciate it. So put your best foot forward.
Thank you.
Great, the mug is crazy out there.